Hello, and welcome to Magnificent Academics 9/11 Read Aloud Series Tribute. 23 years ago, on the morning of September 11th, terrorists from the group Al Qaeda hijacked four commercial aircraft. Two of the aircraft crashed into the north and south towers of the World Trade Center in New York. A third plane crashed into the Pentagon in Arlington, Virginia. The fourth plane, hijacked, Flight 93, fought back and the plane was crashed into an empty field in western Pennsylvania. 20 minutes by air from Washington, D.C., the believed destination. Nearly 3,000 people died that day, representing 93 different countries. It was the worst attack on American soil since the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor in 1941. Magnificent Academics will do a series of read alouds to remember and honor those lost on that fateful day. We want the family and friends of those lost to know that we shall never forget them. We stand with them now, we stood with them then, we will stand with them forever. Magnificent Academics now presents our first in our Read Aloud series, The Man in the Red Bandana, written by Honor Crowther Fagan. When he was only 7 years old, Wells was given a bandana by his father. It was a special gift that made Wells feel strong. Wells' dad always carried a blue bandana, and Wells's new bandana was just like it, only red. From the moment Wells received the bandana, he carried it with him everywhere. It had lots of uses. It was a cowboy mask, a pirate hat, and a flag to signal the end of the race. As Wells grew up, he stopped using his red bandana as a toy and started to use it underneath his helmets. You see, Wells was an athlete whose favorite sports were ice hockey and lacrosse. He wore the bandana underneath his helmet to keep the sweat out of his eyes. Wells not only wore the helmet when he played sports, he also wore one as a volunteer firefighter. At the age of 16, Wells again followed in his father's example and became a volunteer fireman. He trained with real firefighters and was taught that rescuing people who were trapped inside was the first priority. He also learned how to get safely through the burning building and put out the fires. It was this training and the red bandana that helped Wells become a hero. After college, Wells went to work on the 104th floor of the World Trade Center in New York City. Wells loved working up so high. He often called his father on rainy days to ask, "Is it raining where you are?" When his father replied it was, Wells would say, "Well, it's sunny up here." But on Tuesday morning, September 11th, it was not a rainy day. The sun was bright and there was no clouds in the blue sky. As Wells sat in his office, he heard an explosion nearby that rattled his desk and his chair. When he looked out the window to see the World Trade Center Tower 1 building, he could see fire spewing out of the floors right across from him. Wells wanted to help with the tragic situation unfolding in the next tower. Just minutes after the explosion in Tower 1, Wells left his office. To get down to the lobby from above the 78th floor, you had to first take an elevator to the 78th floor sky lobby. From there, you took a non-stop elevator to the ground floor. Many people would be waiting in the sky lobby for their elevator. Wells knew it would take too long to wait for an elevator from the 104th floor to the sky lobby and then one to the ground, so he headed down the stairs. In a few minutes, Wells had made it all the way down near the 78th floor. That's when another explosion occurred. While this one was much louder and stronger than the last. Wells ran right for the door of the sky lobby, but could tell by the smoke coming into the stairwell there were flames burning inside. Wells took out his red bandana and tied it around his nose and mouth so that he did not breathe in the smoke. When Wells entered the sky lobby, it was hard to see through all the smoke. There were badly injured people who needed his help to get to safety. He found a fire extinguisher to put out the flames that continued to endanger the survivors. Wells immediately took charge and called out to anyone who might be able to hear him. I found the stairs. If you can get up and walk, get up now. If you are able to help someone, help them. Follow me. I know the way. Many people were dazed, but one woman was in such a state of shock she could not walk. Wells wanted to help as many survivors as possible. He picked up the shocked woman and, leading a group of three others, carried her down the stairs. Wells saw that the air started to clear as they made it down the stairwell, so he pulled his bandana from his face. When they made it to the 61st floor, the lights were on, and Wells thought it was safe to send the people on their own. Wells told the group to continue down the stairs and out of the building. He turned around and headed back up the stairs. Wells collected another group of survivors and ushered them to the stairs. Again, he led them down to the clean air on the 61st floor and told them to continue on to safety. Once again, Wells went back up the stairs. During his third trip to the sky lobby, Wells found that there were people who were alive but were trapped underneath heavy pieces of metal. He knew that in order to save them, he would need a firefighter's tool called a jaws of life. Wells followed the stairs down to the lobby for his third and final trip. He found the command center where the firefighters and police officers were planning the rescue effort. Wells let them know that they would need the jaws of life up in the sky lobby. But Wells would never make it back up there. The damage to both buildings was too severe and they soon collapsed. No one knew what happened to Wells until his mother read a news article months later. In the article, survivors recalled being saved by a man in a red bandana. She said to herself, "There you are, Wells. I have finally found you." Wells was recognized through pictures by two women whom he had led to safety. They will never forget the bravery and the strength Wells showed on that day. They will never forget the man who saved their lives. They will never forget the man in the red bandana. And this is a photo of Wells and his sister Honor, who wrote this book to honor her late brother. What a beautiful tribute to a selfless individual. Stay tuned for our next book in our Read Aloud series dedicated to the memory of those lost on 9/11.